Have you ever walked into a room and, within a matter of seconds, you've already known exactly who was angry, who was hiding a secret, and who was the real person in charge, without anyone saying a single word? Most people would just call that having good intuition, or maybe you simply think you have terrible, unmanageable anxiety. You probably lie in bed at night replaying conversations, analyzing facial expressions, and wondering why you cannot just exist simply and easily like everyone else seems to. But what if I told you that you are not just anxious? What if your mind is not broken, but is actually operating on a completely different, highly advanced software? Today, we are looking at a psychological phenomenon that the world is only just beginning to truly understand. It is called traumatic intelligence. It is the absolute rarest form of being smart. It does not come from reading textbooks, getting a university degree, or solving complex math equations. It is an intelligence forged entirely in the dark. It is the human brain's incredible, desperate ability to adapt to chaos by becoming hyper-aware, hyper-analytical, and relentlessly observant. In this video, I am going to walk you through 10 distinct signs that you possess this rare mental architecture. I will place the most shocking, everyday realities of your mind right at the beginning. But I must warn you, there is a very specific reason why being around normal, seemingly happy people often leaves you feeling completely drained, exhausted, and strangely isolated. It is a psychological trap that almost everyone with this intelligence falls into, and we will uncover exactly why that happens when we reach the 7th point. Let us begin with the first, and perhaps the most intense indicator that your mind operates on this elevated frequency. It is your hyper-calculated threat detection. You do not just look at people, you scan them. Think about a normal, everyday conversation. You are standing in the kitchen talking to a co-worker or a family member. Most people are just casually listening to the words being spoken. But not you. If that person's jaw clenches for a fraction of a second, if their breathing pattern slightly changes, or if the pitch of their voice drops half an octave, your brain registers it instantly. You even know people by the sound of their footsteps. You know if a door closing was just the wind, or if it was shut with frustration. In psychology, this is tied to an overactive amygdala, the ancient primal part of your brain responsible for survival. Because your past taught you that danger, anger, or disappointment can come out of nowhere, your nervous system essentially became a military-grade radar dish. In your daily life, this means you can predict an argument long before it actually happens. You know someone is upset before they even realize they are upset themselves. For years, you might have thought you were just being paranoid, constantly overthinking every little detail and making yourself crazy. But I want you to reframe this right now. You are not paranoid. You are reading the micro-expressions of human behavior with a level of accuracy that takes professional profilers years of training to learn. It is a profound intelligence born entirely from necessity. This naturally pulls us into the second and arguably the most powerful sign of traumatic intelligence, the chameleon effect of survival empathy. This is your absolute best defense mechanism, and honestly, it is brilliant. When you are moving through the world, you might notice that your personality subtly, almost automatically, shifts depending on who is standing in front of you. When you are with a loud, outgoing group, you become energetic and agreeable. When you are with someone quiet and reserved, your voice softens and your posture mirrors theirs. Your vocabulary changes, your sense of humor adapts. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist, talked extensively about the persona, the social mask we all wear to fit into society. But for you, this is not just about trying to be popular or fitting in. It is about emotional geometry. Your brain is using mirror neurons on absolute overdrive to instantly analyze what the person in front of you needs to see in order to feel comfortable. Why? Because your subconscious knows a profound, unspoken truth. If they feel comfortable and safe with you, then you are safe from them. You absorb the mood of the room and you neutralize it. You might drive home sometimes and feel a wave of guilt, thinking, I do not even know who the real me is anymore. But you are not being fake, and you are not being manipulative. You are dynamically adapting to your environment to maintain peace. It is a highly complex social intelligence that protects you from conflict. Now, imagine your mind is a grand, complicated chessboard. This brings us to the third sign, predictive pacing. While most people are comfortably living in the present moment, taking things as they come, you are constantly living 3, 4, or 5 steps ahead into the future. If you go to a new restaurant, you probably unconsciously prefer to sit facing the door so you can see who comes in. If you are taking a simple road trip, you have already planned for what happens if the car breaks down, if someone gets sick, or if you lose your phone. If you have to have a difficult conversation with someone, you have already rehearsed the conversation in the shower, planning out a response to every single possible thing they might say. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius practiced something called premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. He actively imagined the absolute worst-case scenarios every morning so he would be mentally prepared for them. You do this completely naturally. Because trauma removes the luxury of assuming everything will just be okay, your brain became a master of contingency planning. You are the person everyone else turns to when things go completely wrong, because while they are freezing in panic, you are simply executing Plan C, which you came up with 3 weeks ago while you were brushing your teeth. And that perfectly transitions into the fourth sign, which is one of the strangest, most fascinating paradoxes of your mind. Your contradictory calm in the middle of absolute chaos. Have you ever noticed that you might completely break down, cry, or feel entirely overwhelmed over something tiny, like dropping a glass of water, losing your keys, or getting an unexpected email? But if a massive crisis hits, a severe medical emergency, a car accident, a sudden job loss, or a deep family tragedy, you suddenly turn into ice. Your tears dry up. Your heart rate slows down. You become the most rational, calm, precise, and effective person in the room. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote that one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. Your nervous system is so deeply accustomed to chaos that when a real emergency happens, your brain actually feels at home. It says, I know this place. I know exactly what to do here. The minor, normal, daily stresses overwhelm you because you simply do not have a script for normalcy. The quiet moments feel dangerous because you are waiting for the other shoe to drop. But in the dark, in the storm, your intelligence shines brighter and steadier than anyone else's. Let us take a brief mental step back. If you are recognizing yourself in these first few signs, it means your psychological blueprint was drawn with heavier, darker ink than most. You carry a weight. You always have. And this weight manifests as the fifth sign, chronological isolation, or what people often fondly, but misunderstoodingly, call the curse of the old soul. From a very young age, you likely felt entirely out of sync with people your own age. When you were a teenager, the dramas, gossips, and concerns of other teenagers probably seemed utterly ridiculous to you. You were worrying about adult problems, navigating complex emotional minefields, or just trying to survive the day. Even now, you might sit at a dinner party with a group of your peers and feel like you are 80 years old, watching children play in a sandbox. They are talking about the weather, or a television show, or office politics, and you feel a million miles away. Psychologically, trauma forces rapid emotional maturation. You had to understand complex, dark human motivations long before your physical brain was fully developed. This gives you a profound philosophical depth. You intimately understand grief, loss, resilience, and human frailty. But the downside is that it makes it very difficult to relate to the light, carefree conversations that normal people have. You crave depth, truth, and authenticity, and your brain is deeply allergic to superficial small talk. Which naturally leads us to the sixth sign, radical, unyielding independence. For you, asking for help feels like stepping on a landmine. You have a deeply ingrained, almost physical belief that if you rely on someone else, one of three things will happen. They will let you down, they will use it against you later to make you feel guilty, or they will abandon you when you need them most. So, you do everything yourself. You figure out how to fix your own car. You teach yourself new skills online rather than asking a colleague. You carry your own massive emotional burdens in total silence, smiling and telling everyone you are fine. This hyper-independence is a trauma response. Yes, it is a wall you built to keep from being disappointed. But I want you to look at the immense intelligence it has built within you. Because you refuse to be helpless, you have likely gathered a massive array of skills, knowledge, and self-reliance that makes you incredibly capable. You have learned how to be your own parent, your own protector, your own provider, and your own guide. You are entirely self-sufficient, and that is a form of genius. But this extreme self-reliance comes at a severe cost. And this brings us to the seventh sign. This is the promised trap I mentioned at the beginning. This is the exact specific reason why being around seemingly happy, normal people leaves you utterly exhausted, needing a nap after just a simple coffee date. It is the crushing exhaustion of overmentalizing. When a normal person goes out to lunch with a friend, they have a conversation and they take the words at face value. If their friend says, "I'm fine," they simply believe them and take a bite of their sandwich. But your traumatic intelligence does not allow you to do that. You are constantly reading between the lines. You are analyzing their body language, noticing that they are tapping their foot, cross-referencing this with their past behavior, trying to figure out what they actually mean, what they secretly want from you, and if there is a hidden conflict brewing. When you are around happy, oblivious, carefree people, their lack of situational awareness forces you to do the threat assessment for both of you. You are carrying the cognitive load of the entire room. You are acting as the emotional bodyguard for everyone around you. You are not exhausted because you are naturally an introvert, and there is nothing wrong with your social battery. You are exhausted because your brain is running a massive supercomputer background program, processing billions of bits of social data, analyzing human behavior, managing your own posture, tone, and facial expressions, while everyone else is just casually chatting about their weekend. You completely drain your energy trying to translate your profound, heavy reality into their light, easy language. When the weight of that constant overmentalizing gets too heavy, your mind relies on the eighth sign, dark humor, as a deflection shield. You likely have a sense of humor that makes some people incredibly uncomfortable. You can laugh at tragedy, at pain, at your own past, and at the utter absurdity of life. You might make a joke in therapy that makes your therapist stop and blink while you sit there smiling. Nietzsche famously said that he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. Your dark humor is your way of gazing directly into the abyss and laughing, so the abyss cannot swallow you whole. Psychologically speaking, humor requires a remarkably high level of cognitive framing. To make a joke out of trauma, you have to mentally step completely outside of the pain analyze it from a third-party distance, and twist it into an irony. It is a sign of brilliant intellectual flexibility. You use humor not to avoid the truth, but to shrink the painful truth down into a size that is small enough to carry in your pocket. This deep need to control the narrative of your life brings us to the 9th sign. A hypersensitivity to shifts in routine or tone. To the outside world, you might seem very easygoing, flexible and chill, but internally, your reality is held together by invisible, highly tense threads of predictability. Let us look at a practical example. If a friend usually texts you back within an hour, but today it takes them 6 hours, your brain does not casually think, "Oh, they must be busy at work." Instead, your brain immediately goes into overdrive. You think, "What did I do wrong? Did I say something weird yesterday? Have they turned against me? Is the relationship over?" Or worse, someone texts you the word okay with a period at the end of it, and your nervous system completely spirals. This happens because your traumatic intelligence relies on strict pattern recognition to feel safe. When the pattern breaks, the alarm bells ring, because in the past, a broken pattern meant danger was coming. But I want you to see the flip side of this. This exact same sensitivity means you are an incredibly attentive friend and partner. You notice when someone you love is having a bad day long before anyone else does. You remember the small details about people. You know their favorite coffee order, you know what topics make them uncomfortable, and you seamlessly protect them from social awkwardness. You are a master of details simply because your emotional survival once depended on noticing the absolute slightest changes in the wind. And finally, we arrive at the 10th sign. This is perhaps the most beautiful, yet the most painful sign of all. It is what I call alchemical forgiveness. Because you have seen the darkest parts of human nature, and because your mind is constantly analyzing the root cause of why people do the things they do, you find it incredibly difficult to stay angry at people who hurt you. When someone betrays you, lashes out, or acts cruelly toward you, your mind automatically goes behind their actions. Instead of just feeling angry and walking away, you psychoanalyze them. You see their deep insecurities. You see their unhealed childhood wounds. You see their desperate fear. You understand why they are acting like a monster. And because you understand the pain they are in, it makes it incredibly hard for you to treat them like a monster. This is a profound, almost spiritual level of emotional intelligence. You have the exceptionally rare ability to separate a person's pain from their actions. The danger here, the flaw in the system, is that you might excuse bad behavior. You might let toxic, damaging people stay in your life far too long because you feel sorry for their inner child. You end up setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. But the absolute beauty of this trait is that you possess a level of empathy, grace, and deep psychological understanding that most humans will never reach in a lifetime. You see the humanity in people, even when they cannot see it in themselves. You have spent so much of your life wishing you could just turn your brain off. You have looked at your anxiety, your overthinking, your exhaustion after simple social events, and your inability to just let things go. And you have told yourself that you are broken. You have wished time and time again that you could be simple, light, and wonderfully oblivious like the rest of the world. But I need you to understand something right now, and I need you to hear it clearly. Your past didn't break you. It rewired you to see the invisible. You aren't carrying a burden. You are wielding a quiet, terrifyingly sharp genius. Use it. If this deep dive into the mechanics of your mind has brought you clarity today, if you finally feel understood, I invite you to join this community. Subscribing doesn't just support this channel. It ensures that you won't miss our next video, where we will break down the exact psychological framework to take this exhausting hyper-awareness and turn it into unbreakable personal boundaries and quiet absolute power. You already have the intelligence. Now let us learn how to master it. Thank you for listening.